Hello from the village of Llanbedr-Dyffryn-Clwyd in the Kingdom of Gwynedd. I'm on the southern flank of the Clwydian range today, just a couple of miles northeast of the town of Ruthin. Hope tonight to camp inside an Iron Age hill fort atop a nearby hill named Moel y Gaer, which translates to the bald hill of the fortress. There are 6 hill forts in total on the range, with 5 of them sitting on the main ridge. But Moel y Gaer is the odd one out because it sits off on a western spur. The hill fort's true age is unknown, and its main purpose also remains a mystery, with the area surrounding the hill seems to be a quirky place. I'm eager to see what the place is all about.
The old church of St. Peter sits on the hillside below Llanbedr Hall. The church was first mentioned in 1254, and the oldest parts of the ruin date back to the same century. The church is made of limestone and red sandstone. It stood much taller in its prime, and the end with the bell cote maintains the church's original height. The Gothic doorways are the most discernible feature of the ruins. The majority of graves here are from the 17th century. In the 1850s, the graveyard reached capacity and only relatives of those already buried were allowed in. Around that time, John Jesse of Llanbedr Hall became determined to build a new church in the village which was developing closer to the road that became the A494. John was a surgeon from Manchester. At the church on the hill, he witnessed the disinterment of old graves to make space for new ones. The scene disturbed him, and he set out to build a new church in the centre of the village with more land for graves. The new church of St. Peter was paid for by the Lord of the Manor at Llanbedr Hall and was successfully completed in 1863. The church has some attractive Victorian features. The exterior is decorated with colourful stones and roof tiles. The carving work also really stands out. The spiked spire is a thing of beauty, and the graveyard is bigger. The tale of John Jesse has an ironic ending. John died in 1865, 2 years after the church was completed. However, he chose not to be buried in the new graveyard, but in the old graveyard on the hill that he had earlier deemed to be full.
The easiest way to the top of Moel y Gaer is via the eastern ridge, which runs from the eastern entrance of the hill fort to the path leading up and down from Moel y Gaer. But I'm not using that path today. Today I'm going up the south side of the hill, hopefully. And I'm just looking right now. I don't think there's a clear path. That's my hill, eh? Don't know how I'm supposed to get up there.
In his presidential address to the Archaeology Cambrensis in 1926, Willoughby Gardiner described what an attack on Moel y Gaer would look like. Let us picture to ourselves an assault upon the southwest wall of this hill fort. The attacking horde would first charge across the little obstacle ditch, and, rushing up the slopes, they would be brought to a halt by the first row of spiked stones inserted on its edge. Then, for the distance of 45 feet or more of the slope, they could but slowly pick their way among the bristling points protruding out of the ground on every side. By these they would be badly bruised and cut if they tripped or were struck down by the staves or sling stones, and other missiles poured down upon them from the rampart above. Those who survived this ordeal would renew their rush across the next ditch and scramble up the steep scar, in front which was very probably made still more difficult by being covered with slippery scree upon its lower half. When they reached firmer ground, another charge would be made to cross the next ditch, but here an unseen and terrible reception was prepared for them in the form of a 7-foot belt of sharp stone stakes lining the bottom of the ditch. On these they could hardly help but fall with the impetus of their dash over the last banks and the pressure of the throng behind. All this time the shower of missiles from the ramparts above would doubtless continue, and one can well imagine that but few of the host that started on the rush would survive to climb the last bank and to cross the final ditch and thus reach the foot of the great stone rampart. Moel y Gaer is 339 metres tall and sits due north of Llanbedr. The name translates to Bald Hill of the Fortress. This is a common name, and there are several Moel y Gaers dotted across Wales. The entrance to the hill fort is on the more level eastern side, with the other three sides being steep slopes. There was also a lesser used entrance on the western slope for a period of time. The fort was built entirely of local stone, with two ramparts made of stone, an impressive defensive ditch, and a massive third rampart on the eastern ridge, where an intricate entrance was paved with small stones. The finds have been varied, from Roman pottery to burnt items, iron and vitrified material. There's also been Bronze Age findings, a bronze looped palstave and a bronze axe, which throw the age of the fort into question. The site is estimated to have been settled somewhere between the 7th to 5th centuries BC. The bronze finds could date as far back as the 15th century BC. The site remains largely unexcavated. There is evidence that the defences experienced a long period of destructive burning at some point. Academics from Bangor University believe the burnt material could actually have been brought in from elsewhere. The fort had a triangular circle shape. 15 building platforms were discovered, some on the western slope of the inner fort and some close to the northern inner wall. These buildings would have been timber roundhouses, with people living in them. Moel y Gaer would have been an important local centre, possibly the site of great assemblies or festivals.
Fell then.
Yn Dyffryn-Clwyd nid oes, dim ond darn bach o'r groes, oedd gynt yn golofn ar las fedd. Y bugail gan i'w braidd, tra einion ryryd flaidd, yn gorffwys dan ei droed, gan afael yn ei gledd. Ond cedwyr ei goffad, mewn prydd, mewn parhad. Glan yw ei gleddi fel erioed. Os cari cofio rwyd am ddolydd Dyffryn-Clwyd, o cofia gofio'r dewr sydd yno dan dy droed. Mewn angofni chant fod gwir y cledd hir ei clod, tra'r awel tros ei beddau chwith, y mae yng Nghymru fyrdd o feddau ar y ffyrdd, yn balmant hyd yr hwn yn rhodia'r rhyddid.